Hey everybody, movie review next door, and I'm back with the Bond films. I'm going to, for the most part, keep doing these. Maybe do a movie in between the Craig era, because a lot of them are pretty fucking long. Um, so I'll just try to get through them. I'm not gonna like rush or anything, but after that I'll do my 200 subscriber special reviews. But for now, tonight I saw Tomorrow Never Dies. This film is from 1997, directed by Roger Spottiswoode, and it stars Pierce Brosnan, Michelle Yeoh, Jonathan Pryce, Terry Hatcher, Judi Dench, uh, and Ricky Jay. Now, in this film, a deranged media mogul is staging international incidents to pit the world's superpowers against each other. Now 007 must take on this evil mastermind in an adrenaline-charged battle to end his reign of terror and prevent global pandemonium. Now, what do I think of Tomorrow Never Dies? I know that there's a lot of fans of the series that immediately are like, oh, GoldenEye was the only good Pierce Brosnan film. All the other ones are crap. I feel like they're just too much of fanboys for that specific movie that they feel like they have to write everything off, but Tomorrow Never Dies could have easily been in the running between GoldenEye with just a few changes for me. So, I I love this movie. As a Bond movie, as a spy thriller, I love it. It's not a 10 out of 10, it's a 9 out of 10. But still, I do think it gets underlooked quite often. It's definitely more trying to be. It's definitely trying to be more action orientated, like GoldenEye was, like License to Kill, You Only Live Twice. And I kind of dig that. I mean, when you have as good of a main performance as Pierce Brosnan's, and great Bond girl, great villain, like, you've almost got it all. But there are a couple issues, I will say. But let me get to the cast. Pierce Brosnan is James Bond. I think Pierce Brosnan kills it here. He does just as good as he did in GoldenEye, if even better. He works very well in the physical stuff. He shows that he's very committed to the role. Michelle Yeoh as Wei Lin. I liked this character, actually. I don't remember thinking much of this character before, but this character is very, like, kind of marching to the beat of her own drum. And I liked the kind of, like, spy versus spy chemistry between them. And I kind of wish it was more buddy-buddy instead of later turning it into sexual chemistry, which it didn't really work for me. Jonathan Pryce is Elliot Carver. He is the main villain. He basically runs Tomorrow News, which is tomorrow's news today. He basically causes all of these big disasters to happen in other countries to pit countries against each other. So he's basically doing fake news in order to rile people up, which pretty ahead of its time plot, huh? But yeah, Jonathan Pryce plays the maniacal side very well. He also plays the well-adjusted side where he's still, like, bluffing very well. Terry Hatcher as Paris Carver. I think she's fine. I do think that this character should have been changed to, like, I feel like this should have been a Bond girl from, like, an earlier film, you know? I feel like it should have been, like, maybe Anya Amasova, maybe Octopussy, even. Because Maud Adams was still alive and she still did look pretty great, so I don't really understand why you wouldn't bring back a former Bond girl for this. Maybe it's because most of the Bond girls don't have much of careers after being in Bond films. It's kind of the Bond girl curse. But yeah, I think she's fine in the role. Judi Dench as M. She does improve here from the last film. The last film felt kind of like, oh yeah, we're going to be feminist, but here I think it improves on that actually. Ricky Jay as Henry Gupta, he's a guy working for Elliot, like working with like missiles, I think. Never really got exactly what it was, or I can't remember really. The opening title sequence I thought was really quite nice, with like TV screens and like zooming into a picture. There's like X-ray of like a gun and women, and I think it's a very, again, it's like the GoldenEye one. It's building on itself, and it's actually becoming more and more complex and actually having something to do with the film, which makes GoldenEye, The Tomorrow Never Dies, and The World's Not Enough title sequences some of my favorites in the entire series. And they're just so striking, and I do think that a lot of the title sequences of the like Craig era just kind of miss that. They try to be too flashy, I guess. And then they come out feeling bland, like the No Time to Die one. But other than that, it's fine. I like this one, really. But yeah, this film, it's definitely trying to be more of an action film. Does this excuse me, I am so tired. Does it succeed in that? I'd say it does. It does have some pretty standout moments of action. There's car chases. There's the car chase in the car park, where Bond has to use this like controller that Q gave him to like drive the car, which is very interesting. He's like shooting missiles, like doing all this different shit, like cutting a wire that's gonna like hit him. There's the bike chase while him and Michelle Yeoh are like cuffed together and they're shooting around each other. Of course, the opening title sequence, or excuse me, not the opening title, the pre-title sequence on the airbase, I guess it was, where there's like arms dealings going on. Fantastic like explosions, amazing pyrotechnics work, and especially at the end, pretty extended action sequence on the ship, on Elliot Carver's ship. And yeah, the action definitely delivers the action. This is one of those movies, like most of the Bond films that I'd say are more action thrillers. They definitely do have kind of the curse of action thrillers where if you are not into the story, you will be bored. I was into the story, and I think a lot of people just aren't into the story. They try to equate it to something like conservative blah blah blah, which there's no real mention of conservatives or Democrats in the film, or conservatives or liberals in the film. I don't really understand that. I think it's just a cool idea to have a character, the villain, be like spreading fake news in order to fuck with other governments. I really like that. I think that is it's both the megalomaniacal villain that you love in a Bond film, and it's also got that groundedness that I really like something that could happen in real life, which basically it happened, but I won't get into that. But yeah, I definitely do think this is one of the Bond films that tries to be a crowd pleaser. It's not trying to reinvent the wheel. It's not trying to make you have it's I hate to say it like this because I feel like it'll come off demeaning. The best way I can describe it is, if you weren't into the Bond movies that were more investigating and less action or gadgets, if you're into like films in the series like License to Kill, You Only Live Twice, Spy Who Loved Me, For Your Eyes Only, the ones that like have a bigger focus on the action and the action is actually pretty impressive for them, then you'll be happy with this film. You will. But I guess a lot of people just don't gel with the story. I don't really understand that. Yeah, there are issues for sure with the story, and let me get to those. One, I understand. You have a Bond girl in the film, Michelle Yeoh, very pretty woman, very talented woman acting-wise, and here she gets to show off some of her martial arts skills, and yeah, they're great to watch, and they're actually shot well. And yeah, I understand she's the Bond girl, technically. I do wish that they had tried to go for something different with this one, because I don't feel any romantic tension between Michelle Yeoh and Pierce Brosnan. I feel more of a friendly connection. I feel more of a, we've got to do this for each other's governments. We're both after the same goal. Let's just get it done and call it a day, like go our separate ways. And yeah, I do think that would have helped things quite a bit. I guess it's a marketing thing. Like, if there's not a Bond girl in the movie, people would be disappointed. I guess I understand. But I do think it's kind of stupid. Because, like, she is played like an actually, like, realistic female, like, agent, where she can actually defend herself. She can actually fight, and it's believable because Michelle Yeoh is a badass. And yeah, you don't get that too often, so I think it would have been nice to not make her codependent at times. I don't know. It's more realistic that she's a bit codependent. I understand. My other issue is with Pam. Or not Pam. Paris. I completely thought of Pam Bouvier for some reason. Paris. I feel like this character, because this isn't really a big spoiler, she dies about halfway through because she slept with Bond and Elliot knew about it. Elliot's her husband. He's the main villain. He has someone kill her. I do think this character was meant to be like a former Bond girl. Like, again, like I said earlier, if this character was played by Barbara Bach, like if it was Anya Amasova, if it was Octopussy, if it was even Carol Bouquet, I feel like that would have given the scene where he finds Paris's dead body a lot more weight. But the way it is, it's kind of just a hollow character that's just there to push the plot along. And, it's kind of But, like, other than those two, if there's any other thing I'd want changed, I guess spread the action out a bit more. I'm not a huge fan of the whole saving all the action until the last half. There is action in the first half, but you do have to wait about 50 minutes throughout the film to get to the next action scene. I understand, set up plot, but you could have had something, like a couple short action scenes, a couple short fight scenes. It would have helped a lot. But other than that, this is just a fun, exciting Bond film. That's exactly what it is. And apparently it went through issues in development. Apparently Paris was supposed to be played by at one time Natasha Henstridge, which I wouldn't have minded that. I really like Natasha Henstridge, and I think she would have given a bit of a better performance than Terry Hatcher, which I will say Terry Hatcher is beautiful in the film. But I do think Natasha Henstridge would have fit that kind of role more. I would have bought it. But yeah, I do think it should have been a returning Bond girl. But still, Roger Spottiswoode did a great job with the direction. He's done other films. He's done films in like all different genres. He did Street Cat Named Bob, Stop or My Mom Will Shoot, Turner and Hooch, Sixth Day, Air America, Terror Train. He's definitely a journeyman director, I guess as you could say. But yeah, I do think he did a great job with the film. The action, it never gets boring. It's got a lot of punch to it. And that's something you really need with a PG-13 action movie like this, where you can't really show like a ton of blood or anything, or even blood squibs. There's very small instances of blood in this, and I understand the Bond films aren't like that usually. But the 60s and 70s ones did get a bit gruesome at points. But not so much that it was distracting, it was more to like be like, oh yeah, there's actual stakes. So it's not like I want a Bond film to be rated R or anything. I just wouldn't mind blood in the squibs or something. But yeah, I'll get to the pros and cons. Pierce Brosnan, Michelle Yeoh, Jonathan Pryce, Judi Dench, Ricky Jay, all do good jobs. Good to great jobs. The score. Now I gotta look for the damn guy's name. The score. Damn, what's his name? David Arnold. The score by David Arnold is pretty great. I like that it incorporates both theme songs, both Tomorrow Never Dies by Sheryl Crow and Surrender by Katie Lang, which was originally supposed to be the main theme song, but then apparently because Sheryl Crow is more traditionally pretty, and Katie Lang, in all honesty, Katie Lang does kind of look like a guy. I don't know if it's exactly fair. Both songs are good in their own ways. I do like the Katie Lang song a bit better, but I have warmed up to Tomorrow Never Dies by Sheryl Crow. Again, the title sequence, very well done. I've always been a fan of these early CGI ones because I think they use CGI in a way where it actually feels like it's telling the story, or like getting you ready, getting you in the mood for the film. Again, the action, spectacular, stunts. Cons, again, I do wish that Weiland and Bond's chemistry was more supposed to be kind of like playful, or more of a rivalry to it instead of sexual later on. And again, I wish Paris Carver was instead a former Bond girl returning and then dying. I think that would have been made much more sense, and it would have been nice to give one of them an acting job again. And yeah, again, I do think the pacing at times isn't... It's not even that the pacing. It's just that I have an issue with action movies that end load with action. Like, at the end, there's too much action. At the beginning, there's not enough. I'd rather have a consistent amount of action throughout the film. But still, at an hour and 59 minutes, it's far from the longest Bond film. It is quite a bit shorter than GoldenEye. I think it has better pacing than GoldenEye. Sue me. But yeah, I still think this is a great Bond film. I'm not going to be changing my opinion anytime soon, and hope y'all enjoyed the review. Comment down below, like the video, subscribe, and movie review next door. Out.